Power Blade is a reworked, localized version of the Japanese Famicom's Power Blazer. Power Blade received upgrades in the form of level design, the look of the main character, and gameplay controls. When they overhauled the main character, they changed it from Power Blazer's cartoony robot into an Arnold Schwarzenegger lookalike. This was also an inspiration for the game's cover, as they tried to make the main character resemble Arnie from the 1984 Terminator promotional images. The sequel, Power Blade 2, released in late 1992, and is a hard one to track down for NES enthusiasts. Is it worth the hubbub? Well, let's see what's up. As the story goes, the year is 2191 on the colony of New Earth, and you, known as Nova, are a chief security officer for a supercomputer called the Master Computer. You have to restore this master computer that was taken offline by a bunch of pesky aliens. Your goal is to collect the data tapes located in 6 different sectors, and yes, they still use tapes in 2191. In the wrong hands, the data in the master computer could prove fatal for the entire planet. Nova, your character, is actually a lord of the ancient weapon known as the Power Blade, and you're summoned to handle the situation. As you'd expect, each of the sectors are heavily guarded by aliens, so you'll need to introduce them to the Power Blade as you advance. You can play the sectors in any order. A common trait in Taito games, Taito, is choosing your own path a lot of times. And it's a welcome feature here. They do graduate in difficulty, so playing them in order is recommended, but you don't have to if you're feeling like a rebel. Each level follows the same formula. You must navigate a platforming maze while looking for your contact who has the ID card. Retrieve the ID card to access the security room located in the same sector. After you do this at 6 different sectors, you'll fight your way through a control center to destroy the master computer and restore order to society. For its time, the game was likened to Mega Man 2, and that's not entirely baseless. Some of the level and enemy design, and even the look and appeal of the game can feel very much like Mega Man, though I would argue Power Blade is not as difficult. However, one wrinkle of Power Blade is that in a few of the sectors, the layout can be confusing and intertwined a bit like a maze. As mentioned, your first goal in any sector is to locate your contact, which is just a dude hanging out somewhere. You get to him and get the ID card, and that's your ticket to beating the level, with your next task being to find the exit, which really is just a door to the boss. The bosses aren't too bad in terms of difficulty, with fairly predictable patterns, and sometimes look cool like this saw blade dragon thing. He actually comes up again later. There are plenty of enemies along the way, like giant machine gun toting mechs, turrets, drones, robots, and of course frogs. Your main attack is your Power Blade, a boomerang that shoots partway across the screen, and logically you think a boomerang that is part blade would have to come back to you and be caught, and that sounds horrendous, so let's not think about it. You can also pick up a metal suit that turns you into a badass that shoots what I suppose is some energy wave to vanquish enemies. The suit makes quick work of most foes, including bosses, but can only take 3 hits before it goes away, so play responsibly. Occasionally, you can get a health pickup from killing some of the robot enemies who drop hamburgers. It makes a ton of sense. In the end, Power Blade makes for a great time. It does a good job of feeling like Mega Man, but adding an ounce of exploration benefit that makes the levels less linear. It controls great, looks decent, the story is fine, and above all else, it's just plain fun, especially when you get to rock out in the suit. Power Blade 2 is a slightly different look and feel from the original. It embraces the main character a little more with some close-up cutscenes of him talking tough and being cool. In general, his sprite is a little bigger, and this time around the stages are very linear. It still seems heavily inspired by Mega Man, with the ability to defeat an enemy to gain a power suit that has a special power. You can switch in and out of the suits by pressing start and cycling up and down. The suits allow you to issue a more deadly attack, but also have other attributes that help in particular circumstances, like a wetsuit for more easily navigating water, a rocket suit that allows you to fly over some sections, or a Patriot suit that has some protective orbs around it. Accessing the suits will make bosses and enemies alike very easy to defeat, but that doesn't mean the game is a cakewalk. The suits are limited, and you'll need to find energy pickups to keep the suit powered, so use them responsibly. You can pick up energy tanks, however, that will refill your energy once it's depleted for non-stop metal suit action. You can even power up the regular boomerang with a couple different pickups, one that lets you throw multiple and one that's just a stronger boomerang. The boomerang, or Power Blade more properly, works essentially the same as it did in the first game, but it might be easier to direct it here as you can throw it while jumping and throw it diagonally more fluidly. There are 4 stages you can select from out the gate, and a 5th one that unlocks once those first 4 are completed. The last stage culminates in a nice and long final stanza that ends in a boss rush and final fight, much like the first Power Blade. I liken the difference between Power Blade and Power Blade 2 to the difference between the first Batman game and Batman Return of the Joker. There are some quality improvements graphically, everything is a little bigger and bolder, but the first is more memorable. That's true for me, anyway. Both Power Blades are exceptionally great, though good luck finding the second one for less than a car payment. As the story goes, well, the manual tells it pretty well. "So what's up now?" asks Nova, entering the briefing room at SP headquarters. "The Delta Foundation," oh man, not them again, "has built a line of near-perfect fighting cyborgs. They want our government to buy them or else they'll sell them to an unfriendly neighbor. So finally, the president has decided it's time to put Delta out of business, and he wants you to do it. I'd love to mop up that place. So who's my team?" His boss smiled. "You." The 80s. What a time. There are some aggravating stages, most notably the Super Mario World-style ride-alongs that require a little trial and error to master. And there are more enemies this time around, it seems, like jellyfish out of water, fish in water, gun-toting cyborgs, and that Dragon Sawblade dude. In fact, the Dragon Sawblade dude is in every level protecting the metal suit. Tato must have really liked that Dragon Sawblade dude. Tato? All in all, the sequel to Power Blade is a fine follow-up to the original. Some tweaks with the upgrades and variations in the metal suits are a boost, but the linear level design may be a detractor for some, though I don't mind it. The music is fine, the visuals are great, and the story is ridiculous. It's a perfect recipe for a solid game and a must-play if you can track it down. Together, the Power Blade games offer a consistent pair of above-average platforming action romps. While maybe a little dry in terms of backstory and a soundtrack that's fairly unremarkable detracts a bit, they're still well worth the time of anyone looking for a classic NES experience that isn't as punishing as its counterparts, but holds its own in every other way. There were no other Power Blade games after the second, so these two are all we get with the ultra-cool Nova and his hand-picked special abilities, and that's too bad. Oh well, I guess that about does it for Power Blade 1 and 2 on the NES. Don't throw a boomerang made out of blades. And thanks for watching.